Ladies and gentlemen, the Arc World Tour season for 2025-2026 has just ended, and we have crowned a brand new world champion. I'm not going to be spoiling the results for you in case you didn't get to see the matches, but I definitely recommend you go back and check those out. It was an absolutely amazing tournament from start to finish. But that aside, today we're going to be talking about what happened after the World Finals ended. And the idea is that I want to give you guys all the information that you need, as well as give you guys some of my perspective as someone who runs tournaments and stuff like that on the game. So first, Fukuhara announced that Granblue Fantasy vs Rising is actually not going to be a part of the upcoming Arc World Tour. Instead, it's actually going to be just Marvel Tokon and Guilty Gear Strive. But fret not, Cygames decided to do their own world tour called the Granblue Fantasy vs World Tour, which will begin at EVO Japan as usual and will actually conclude in November. And the finals of this tour is actually going to be played at Cygames Cup, which is usually a part of the tour, but it's not going to be a part of the tour this time around. It's going to be where the finals is played, so that will be likely in January. Now, I've looked around on various places on social media and whatnot, and I've seen pretty mixed reactions to this. Some have been very positive, some have been kind of negative. Honestly, my thoughts are that this absolutely can be a good thing, but we kind of need more information before we really decide. The two things that they announced were actually pretty positive, though. I will give them that. So the two things in question are, first of all, the amount of players that are going to be qualifying for the finals is larger than any Arc World Tour. So it's going to be 24 instead of 16. We don't know if that means that there's going to be an LCQ or this or that. We have no idea, but we know that 24 players are going to qualify. And then on top of that, the first place prize is going to be $100,000, which I believe is the largest for any game in this series, which is a really big deal. Obviously, prize pools nowadays in fighting games have kind of skyrocketed with certain entities entering the space and putting up big numbers. Even Capcom, putting up $1 million for first place. This isn't that, but 100K for first place is definitely going to motivate some of these players. I mean, 50K was already pretty okay, but we'll have to see how motivated they are with 100K on the line. However, there are some things that I do have some reservations about, and I don't want you guys to take this as me being negative. It's just kind of speculation as someone who has kind of seen the signs of how tours operate and has critiqued many tours. You can check out a ton of videos on my channel about various world tours. But so the first thing is it ends in November. So that means that the tour is overall shorter. Instead of ending in, January, February, like it has before, it ends pretty early, which means some events that were previously like staples on the Arc World Tour for this game are not going to be on there, namely Frosty Faustings. Right, Frosty Faustings will not be on the tour. It is nowhere near November. Also, on top of that, Cygames is a pretty cool event to, serve as a qualifier for the World Finals. Obviously, we lose that one as well. So I'm curious to see if they go with auto qualifiers, what events will step up and take that place. As we have no idea, Frosty Faustings and Cygames Cup not being qualifiers is a big deal, aside from LCQ if they decide to do that. But we have no idea if they're actually going to take that route yet, so that's not really what I'm talking about. So the next thing that I have reservations about is this is Cygames' first tour, to my knowledge, especially on, Granblue. They've always been a part of, the Arc World Tour, and so they have kind of abided by ArcSys's rules. ArcSys kind of sets everything that needs to be done, and then they go from there. So Cygames doing it themselves for the first time, there's a lot of pain points with tours that need to be addressed. And I worry that because it's their first time, they may overlook some of these things. So what are those things in question? So things like prize splits. We have some tours that have millions of dollars at the line, on the line, but it has grand finals being a 900K money match. I hope that the splits aren't anywhere near as bad as some other tours. Hopefully they are good. The format, the format is very flexible. There's a lot of different formats you can run for World Finals. I don't know if they're going to take a quirky route and try to be different and try to stand out, if they're going to do something more standard. 24 players is already bigger, so I wonder if that's going to limit their ability to do more interesting formats. We're going to have to see. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm definitely paying attention to that. And then also logistics, of course, making sure that players have their accommodations taken care of whenever they do qualify, making sure that whatever leading up to the finals makes good sense Like, do the events that are the highest tier make sense as opposed to the next highest tier? Is there an online component? There's like a whole lot of questions that we have about this, and we don't have much information. And so, like I said, these are just things that I personally am going to be keeping a lookout for, and I think you guys should as well. The last bit of criticism I have is that it was kind of nice. Like, it's cool that Granblue is getting its own tour and there's more money and there's more players. I love that for us, absolutely. But at some point, I can't help but feel, a little sad that, there's no intermingling between the game communities, because we're not part of the Arc World Tour. Like, we're kind of on our own this time around. And so, like, at Arc World Tour, the Granblue community and the Guilty Gear community and the Uni community, like, all come together, and we're all, anime fighters. So, like, we're kind of part of the same sub community, so to speak, anyway. So it's cool to have, like, at the finals, like, everyone is here, and that we're not gonna have that this time around. But they might have some Uma Musume for those of you that are big fans out there. So it's not the hugest deal. I just felt like, that was something to make note of. Okay, so one last piece of speculation. So this one's pretty big. From me, that you didn't hear this from anyone but me. This is purely speculation. I don't know if this is the case, but if you go and you look on the page that I have for you guys here, you will notice that it says Granblue Fantasy versus World Tour. It explicitly does not specify that this is Rising, right? And so I'm wondering if it won't just be Rising on the tour. What if Vanilla is also included? Now, Granblue Rising, one of the things that has been one of the biggest things in the community is, like, there are people that exist in the community that prefer the gameplay loop and the game style of Vanilla as opposed to Rising. So it would be really crazy if Vanilla actually got on the tour as well, and it was actually both games side by side to kind of give people that love Vanilla still that chance to be a part of a big tour, and especially if there's good money involved, like, give them incentive to still grind out that game even years later. That would be really cool to see personally. The more the merrier in my eyes, but just a little bit of speculation based on the name of the tour itself. All right, moving on. Also, hi, I'm over here now. The next and perhaps biggest thing, the thing that you see everyone talking about, is that Granblue Fantasy vs. Rising is receiving a big 2.6 update that is going to include a new DLC character, which seems to be id from Relink, new stage, new costume, changes for every character, changes to current system mechanics, and also a brand new system mechanic that is getting added to the game. And so it's important to note that this is not Season 3. This is explicitly 2.6, which seems to be kind of an extension of the Season 2. There were those that were looking forward to Season 3 that may feel disappointed by this news, but honestly, I don't think this is deconfirmation in the slightest. I think that this very well may be just, a big patch and a new character to kind of hold us over while they cook Season 3 in the background and announce it at some point during their new tour. I do think that is a pretty strong possibility. I'm not going to say that it's like super omega, like, guaranteed, but I do think that it's, like, based on the support that this community has had and how strong we're still going all these years later, I think that it is definitely a real possibility that people should hold on to moving forward. As for the competitive end of things, the language that they use is kind of purposefully ambiguous. So until we really know what the changes are, it's really hard to levy any type of judgment just on this information alone. I will say that obviously there are strong mechanics in the game that get talked about all the time, like 6XL and BC, and the devs have gone out of their way to, like, nerf these mechanics multiple times. Obviously, they're still relevant in the game. I don't think that's ever going to change, but they have made them weaker as time has gone on without removing them from the game's core gameplay loop, which is probably the most important. And so when I see changes to existing mechanics, I'm guessing we might see something small like that again. The biggest thing that they could possibly do is take the hard knockdown off of counter hit brave counter. I think that one change, even if that is just that one change to current system mechanics, I think a lot of people would be very happy about that. But only time will tell what direction they decide to take, because at the end of the day, we're not the ones that choose. As for the brand new mechanic, I have really no idea what they're going to do. Some would say maybe it's 66U, maybe it's a new dash normal on the U button. That would be really funny. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a new way to interact with the Brave Crystal system, but honestly, it could be anything. It's completely up in the air. So the devs are going to have to take very special care when it comes to adding the new mechanic to the game, because If you know anything about vanilla, the reception to the mechanics that they added at the end of vanilla were not necessarily received the best, with things like overdrive and whatnot. So I think that they're going to take their time, and at least I would like to believe that they're going to take their time and really think out what new mechanic could, impact the game in a positive way without making it too crazy. And that is all I have for y'all today. This game and this community are absolutely incredible. I urge anyone who hasn't tried out the game to give it a shot, especially right now, because not only is the game on sale again, including the deluxe edition, which has all of the season 1 characters, that's 61% off. It also has a free version that features the main character Gran, as well as a rotating cast of 3 or 4 characters every week. But right now, until March 26th, the free version actually includes every single character except for 2B. She doesn't count. So there's never been a better time to try the game. We have a great community. We have plenty of quality events. If you want any information on any of that, feel free to just ask me. I'm always reachable. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. Exciting times here in the land of Rising. Let me know what you guys think about all of the news with a comment below. And whenever we get more information, you can expect another video from me. But for now, you have a good one. Later.